Hello everyone and welcome to the Kiki London YouTube channel. My name is Amanda and in today's video we are going to be doing a summer bright sculpting gel ombre, so I really hope you all enjoy watching. I'm really loving doing the sculpting gel videos, so let me know what you guys are thinking of them in the comments below, or if you have any requests of videos you would like to see, whether it be tutorials on a specific product or a particular design. Just pop your suggestions in the comments below. So I'm going to start off by cleansing my nail plate and then we're going to jump straight into prep. So I'm going to start off by prepping with the Helsinki Cuticle tool. This has kind of been my go-to cuticle tool since the new KNS Nail Tools launched. I just love it. I love how sharp it is. It effortlessly removes any of that dried on cuticle from the nail plate. And then I really love that you've got the angular end on the other side. So I tend to go in with the straight end first and then flick around to the other side. And you can really get down into those sidewalls when you are using this end of the tool. And you have to use a very minimal pressure with it because of how sharp it is. It effortlessly pulls that cuticle up off the nail plate. Then I'm going to switch to using the Milan cuticle nippers, because when you push up a lot of that excess dead dried cuticle, you'll find that you might have some that's attached to the skin around the nail. So I then like to come in with the cuticle nippers and just gently nip off any excess cuticle there that I want to get rid of. Anything that's kind of sticking up and is dried and dead, I like to nip off. And then lastly, I'm going to switch to the Sophia cuticle tool, and I really love this one just for pushing everything back. So once I've removed any excess cuticle, I like to come in with this just to make sure that I'm exposing as much of that nail plate as possible and all of that living tissue has been pushed away. Then we're going to come in and etch the nail plate. Today I'm etching with my buffer. You can also use the 180 grit file as well, but you do just want to be very careful that you're not over etching or over filing the natural nail plate, because this is going to cause damage to the natural nails. So because I've been working on my own nails quite often, I decided to use the buffer today rather than the file, because obviously when you're working on clients, they're getting a good 3 to 4 weeks between doing their nails. But when you're working on yourself, if you're doing your nails regular, you don't want to be over filing that natural nail plate. So I've just come in and etched using the buffer, just going in around circular motions over the entire nail, trying to not go over the same spot repetitively. And then we're going to come in and prime before moving on to applying our base coat. And for today's base, I have gone for IRB09 because we're going for a bit of a milky white ombre. So I thought it only makes sense to pair this up with the milky white rubber base. So when it comes to applying the rubber base coat, I take a small amount on to my bottle brush and really work that into the etched nail plate. So I'm really scrubbing it in, making sure that it's making really good contact with the natural nail, and then I'll come in with a tiny bit more and float this over the top so that we get that nice even smooth application. So we pop this in secure, and for today's video I did decide that we would sculpt. So I've taken one of the Kiki London sculpting forms and I'm kind of just, whilst it's still on the paper backing, rolling it between my two thumbs. Rubbing it is the wrong word. Rolling it between my two thumbs to put a natural curve into that sculpting form. Then we've peeled it off the back, opened up the back of the form, and then I'm just going to fit this to my natural nail. Now, I personally actually find it a little bit easier to apply my sculpting forms when I have a small free edge. Anything too long, I find it tricky, and if the free edge is too short, then you've usually got to tailor your sculpting form to fit that nail. So you can do this by putting little cuts in the side of your form and things like that. Working on the length of free edge that I've got here, I personally find the easiest because the form fits nicely under the natural nail, and I'm just kind of adjusting it to get it lining up perfectly, using that line that's running down the center of the form as my guide. I then closed up the tabs to secure this in place and closed up the back of the form, and then gently pinching it so that we're going to put a nice C curve in the form, because this is going to give us a nice C curve in our sculpted gel nail. Now to start off with, I'm going to sculpt a clear base using the Kiki London Crystal Clear Sculpting Gel. So I kind of do this differently in today's video, as I was just trying something different. Usually I just come in and sculpt the tip first and then cover the nail bed area of the nail, but I thought I would switch it up today. So I'm coming in with a thin coat and I'm applying this down at the natural nail. And you want this to be really thin when you're doing an encapsulated nail design. So we're going to be working on top of this clear base doing our ombre. So I don't want to build up too much thickness with the clear layer. Of course, if you're not doing anything encapsulated or anything nail art wise, you could come in and just build up the entire nail with your crystal clear or one of the colors of your choice, and then come over the top with your colored gel polish. But because we're going for a little bit, we're doing an actual ombre with the sculpting gel, I don't want my base layer to be too thick because we're going to work on top of it, and we don't want to end up with an overall thick nail, especially because on this particular design I decided we would go for a really short look. So I'm coming in, applying a thin coat over the entire natural nail, and then I'm going to take another small bead, and I'm keeping this really small because like I said, we're creating a short nail. So I'm going to take this right at the free edge, and then we're going to move it off of the free edge and start sculpting down onto that form. The reason I connected it to the free edge first of all is because I want the sculpted edge to make really good contact with the natural nail. So we're coming in, making sure that I take that gel from side to side, and I'm going up until that first line on the form. So again, you're using the lines that are on your form as your guide. Now this doesn't always work out because it's going to depend on the width of the nail you're working on and things like that, but you can usually use the lines going up the form as your guide for the length. Then I'm making sure that I'm really coming straight down parallel with my natural nail plate for that free edge that we're sculpting. So we popped this into cure, and you have to bear in mind to be really careful here when you're removing your sculpting form, because we have only sculpted a super thin clear base. We've not built up any strength or structure, so it's really easy to snap this off. So take care when you're removing your sculpting form. You want to open out the tabs and then pull down away from the nail. This way you're not putting any pressure on that sculpted tip. I do find the sculpting gel quite strong. However, of course, when you've only applied a thin layer, you just want to be a little bit careful. Same goes here if you're filing your clear base. You want to be super careful with your file that you're not putting too much pressure, because otherwise you're going to break it and then you're going to have to repeat that whole process again. Now I'm only doing a few light files here and there just to clean up the edges where we sculpted, and I was just showing here I've created a nice natural C curve. Because it's a short now, we don't want to go in with a too pinched C curve. Then we're going to come in and start creating our ombre look. So I'm going to be using Limelight and the Kiki London Ombre Brush. And I'm going to begin by doing my ombre using the bottle brush. So I'm going to take a small amount of Limelight, go just past the free edge area, taking it roughly halfway down the nail, and just paint on a thin coat of Limelight, keeping it nice and even and making sure we're not applying too much product. Then I'm going to take the ombre brush and gently start feathering this down so it blends in to that clear base layer that we've sculpted. And you'll see here I blended it down, and then I wiped my brush onto a little bit of acetone. This is going to remove any product that you've got on your brush, and by adding that little bit of acetone on to the bristles of your brush, it's going to help blend it in. So we've done the first coat of this. This takes minimal work. You just want to gently feather it in to your natural nail, or sorry, to the clear layer that's over your natural nail. Make sure there's no harsh line, and then come in and do your second coat. So we're going to do the same again, apply a thin layer of Limelight, not taking it as far down as we've taken that ombre, because again we're going to come in and blend using the ombre brush. On the second coat I'm going to do exactly the same as before, using the very tip of the ombre brush, blending that down, cleaning off onto an alcohol or acetone pad, just so you've got a little bit of moisture on your brush, and then blending back. And then on the second coat I will go horizontal and vertical with my brush, just to make sure that that is blended in as good as I can. Once we've done that, we're going to pop this in to cure for 30 seconds. Now this color did blend in quite well, and we are going to be coming over it with the Milky White sculpting gel, so it doesn't need to be like a perfect fade into the natural nail. So I'm going to pick up a small bead of the sculpting gel in the Milky White, and we're going to place this down at the cuticle area, and I'm just going to start using a circular rolling motion with my brush and taking this from side to side, gently edging it up towards that cuticle area. I'm getting as close as I can, but because this is quite a large brush, I like to come in with my stripe liner brush and neaten up that cuticle area and pull that gel that little bit closer at the cuticle area, because I find doing that with my doing this step with the polygel brush, gets that sculpting gel layered down, gets everything roughly where you want it to be. And then when you come in with the stripe liner brush, you're just able to get really close to the cuticle, but without adding a thick layer of gel, because you don't want it to be super thick down at that cuticle area anyway. So we're working this product from side to side, gently thinning it out as we get to that area where the ombre starts with the limelight. Then I'm going to clean off my brush, get rid of any excess product that is on there. And then I think this is where, oh no, then I cleaned off my brush and I'm just kind of looking at any areas where I need to move my product a bit closer to the skin and the sidewalls. And that's where I switch to my stripe liner brush. So I'm coming in with the stripe liner brush and just gently pulling that product into place. Where the sculpting gel has a medium viscosity, I find it really easy to maneuver even with a small brush like this one. So I pulled it in nice and close to the cuticle and the sidewall, and then I noticed there was a tiny little bit of fluff here. So I had to take a good 10 minutes to get this out without messing up my entire application. Then once I had got that out, I'm just taking my stripe liner brush and neatening everything up, then switching to my ombre brush and just gently feathering this color out really lightly. We don't want to pull too much of the milky white sculpting gel over the limelight because it will cover it up too much, and I really want that pop of neon, that pop of the bright green to be coming through. So I'm feathering it out with my ombre brush and then taking a tiny bit of alcohol on the angled nail art brush to clean up the very tip of that nail. This way it helps the ombre melt into the green, so it helps that sculpting gel melt into the green a little bit, and then it's going to remove the excess from right at the tip. And this is where I wanted that green to be the most bold and vibrant. And then I'm kind of just going to keep going backwards and forwards. So I come in again with the ombre brush, just blend, and you can do this until you are happy with how your ombre looks. Certain colors are going to blend easier than others. I did find this a little bit of a tricky ombre. I think it was where I haven't done too many short nails with the sculpting gel either, and I don't ever tend to do too many short ombre nails, so it took a little bit of patience just until I was happy with how that blend looked. I did then hold the nail upside down for a few seconds before popping it into cure. Because we've played around with that gel a lot, I just wanted to give it a few seconds to self level. Now, we're not going to come in and fully encapsulate this now because I've built up a lot of the strength and structure using that milky white sculpting gel, but down at the tip of the nail we have only got the clear layer and our green gel polish. So I want to come in and just build up a little teeny tiny bit more thickness and then encapsulate our blend and build up the structure running down the center part of the nail. So I'm going to do this with the crystal clear sculpting gel, and I'm kind of just taking a ball of gel, running it over that tip of the nail and then flipping the nail around and blending it backwards, just so that there's not a harsh line where that gel finishes. It did look a little bit uneven, but we fixed this with the file anyway. But my main part that I was concentrating on here was that we have got a tip built up and that it's not too thin, and we have got enough structure there, and that we are also protecting that blend with a clear layer so that we can file, buff and get everything looking super smooth. Before we do come in and file the nail, you do want to remove that tacky inhibition layer using an alcohol wipe. And then I'm going to take my Kiki London file, and I don't actually have a too thick or bulky nail, so I don't want to remove too much excess. So I'm predominantly going to use the 180 grit side of my file because the sculpting gel does file nice and easy. So what I'm going to do is I come up one side wall, go around that cuticle and apex area, and then come up the other side wall. And all the time whilst I'm doing this, I'm looking at the nail from all angles and making sure everything is where it should be. So we've got a little bit of thickness down at that apex, making sure that my sidewalls and free edge are not too thick, and I'm just making sure that that product is all lined up how it should be. I've only created a small apex, that's what I was trying to show you guys here. Because it's only a short nail, you really don't need to be building up too much thickness, because if you build up too much thickness on a short nail, it ends up looking super bulky. So once I had refined everything with my file, I'm going to switch to my buffer, and I like to go over the nail once with the 180 grit side and then flip round and go around with the I go once with the 100 grit side and then once with the 180 grit side, just to give us a super smooth finish, and that's going to get rid of any scratches that were left behind from filing. I then did fully clean up the nail, and I decided to just stamp on a little leaf because I really love this classic summer look where you have a milky white neon ombre and then those classical tropical leaves just stamped over the top. If you didn't want to stamp, you could also use water decals here, or if you're feeling confident, you could go in and hand paint as well. And then once we had finished that, of course, we do need to come in and top coat to bring back the shine to our ombre and seal everything in. So I'm going to use the new Kiki London Crystal top coat for this because I absolutely love the consistency, but the shine on this one really is crystal clear. You can see straight away it brings back the vibrancy from the neon limelight gel polish, and everything just pops, and I just love this top coat. So if you haven't already checked it out, then do check it out. I always say consistency wise, I'd say it's somewhere between the rubber top coat and the no wipe top coat, because it's a tiny bit thicker than the no wipe top coat, but it's not as thick as the rubber top coat. So it's still great for encapsulating in your nail art and giving the nails a little bit of strength, but you get that super high shine finish as well. Of course, we're going to finish up with a little drop of the Kiki London Fresh Rose Cuticle oil. So I've just dropped this down at the cuticle area, but then I'm really rubbing it in all around the skin and cuticles to replenish everything from removing the previous nails that I was wearing. It always leaves my skin quite dry, and same after all the prep and alcohol wiping as well. So always make sure to come in and apply your cuticle oil. And then this is the finished result. I would happily wear a full set of this where each tip is a different color from the Neon Vibes collection, because I think that would look fun as well, or any bright shades would work. So do let me know what you thought of today's video in the comments below. If you did enjoy the video, please do give it a thumbs up, and if you're not already subscribed to the channel, I would absolutely love it if you hit that subscription button. As always, all of the products I've used will be linked in the description box below. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Lots of love. Take care. Bye bye.